Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Islam is experiencing rapid growth in the Netherlands. Despite this recent increase, Islam and its adherents have long been part of Dutch society. The Netherlands, known for its history as a trading nation and colonial power, first encountered Islam centuries ago. Prior to World War II, a small number of Indonesian students visited their colonial homeland, and in the 1950s, a few Islamic Moluccans and people of Hindustan Surinamese descent decided to settle there. However, the significant increase in the Muslim population occurred after 1965, with the arrival of foreign workers and their families from North Africa and Turkey. In 1971, there were approximately 50,000 Muslims in the country, a number that grew to about 100,000 by 1975 and nearly 628,000 by 1994. Although these numbers may seem significant, they actually represent less than 4% of the Dutch population. This figure includes non-practicing Muslims and individuals from Islamic countries who are not Muslim. Currently, there are almost 1 million Muslims in the Netherlands, accounting for 5.8% of the population. The majority of Dutch Muslims originate from Turkey and Morocco, with significant minorities from Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Somalia, and the former Dutch colony of Suriname. Muslims tend to be concentrated in major urban areas, particularly Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague, and Utrecht. In Rotterdam, there are 37 Islamic primary schools and one secondary school that began in August 2000, all of which are recognized and funded by the state. These schools follow a national curriculum for most subjects, with a few hours per week dedicated to religious education and ceremonies. The first formal Islamic organization in the Netherlands was established in 1932, and since then, numerous Islamic institutions have been founded, gradually forming visible Islamic religious communities. Simultaneously, the Netherlands underwent a significant social transformation known as de-pillarization. This process involved breaking down traditional religious and socio-political barriers. In the past, Dutch society was heavily influenced by religion and philosophical beliefs, leading to the formation of pillars-closed communities where all aspects of life, from education to politics, were conducted. Until the early 1980s, Islam remained largely concealed in the Netherlands. This is evident in government documents concerning immigrants, such as the Memorandum on Foreign Workers 1970, which barely mention Islam or its followers. Despite this, there were initiatives among Muslims to establish their own institutions, especially in the 1970s, when more Turks and Moroccans began bringing their families to the Netherlands. As the number of Muslims grew, so did the need for places of worship. Muslims started organizing themselves to meet this need. However, there were distinct differences among various groups of Muslims. Surinamese Muslims were particularly active and quickly organized local initiatives on a national scale. In contrast, Turkish and Moroccan foreign workers, who saw their stay as temporary, lacked the resources and organization for such initiatives, which remained mostly local and temporary. During this period, various Dutch and non-Islamic individuals, including church representatives, played significant roles. Previously, initiatives had been taken by collaborating Muslims of different ethnic backgrounds, but communication among them was often challenging. The arrival of imams from Muslim-majority countries and interference from various movements and governments back home disrupted cooperation among Muslims in the Netherlands. Internal conflicts led to the emergence of nationality-based Islamic groups in the 1970s, many of which not only provided prayer services, but also Quran lessons for children. Additionally, many mosques started operating tea houses and, in some cases, shops. During this period, the government continued to view the stay of Islamic immigrants as temporary. However, around 1980, this perspective shifted and a coherent policy was developed for the integration of what were now referred to as ethnic minorities. The Memorandum on Ethnic Minorities, 1983, marked a significant change by acknowledging new and lesser-known religions in the Netherlands. As part of this policy, the working group Wardenburg was established to advise on the need for government support for facilities for religious minorities. The group recommended viewing religious organizations as specific to and for ethnic minorities, recognizing Islam as one of the cultural expressions within this category. It also advocated for various facilities and regulations covering a range of areas. According to the 1984 Dutch Education Act, parents have the right to request religious education for their children in public schools, but they are responsible for finding and funding the teacher. Muslim parents rarely take advantage of this legal provision, except in rare cases. Some municipalities, such as Rotterdam, do subsidize this activity. However, school authorities have the final say on which language courses are offered, which has limited the development of Islamic religious instruction. The governments of Turkey and, to a lesser extent, Morocco, play significant roles in Islamic education institutions in the Netherlands. Turkey's Presidency of Religious Affairs appoints imams to the 140 Turkish mosques in the country. To address concerns about integration, Dutch officials require all imams and religious leaders to complete a year-long integration course before practicing in the Netherlands. The state also subsidizes education for local citizens who wish to become imams. Other educational initiatives include the founding of an Islamic Institute in February 2005 by a coalition of Muslim organizations in partnership with individual university programs. Since September 2005, there has been a master's course for Islamic spiritual caregivers at the Free University in Amsterdam, which aims to train imams in Dutch culture and Christianity. For higher education, there is the privately funded Islamic University of Rotterdam, IUR, and the Islamic University of Europe in Schiedam, as well as several smaller training institutes. Additionally, there is a 4-year training program in the Education Faculty of Amsterdam to prepare teachers for secondary schools. There are approximately 500 Muslim places of worship in the Netherlands, with traditional mosques being constructed in major cities. Nearly half of these mosques are primarily Turkish, with around 90 primarily Moroccan mosques. While there have been reports of obstruction by local officials, mosque construction has generally proceeded without significant barriers. Dutch law permits traditional Islamic burial rites, and public cemeteries typically offer special sections for Muslims. Despite some opposition from animal rights groups, there are no legal barriers to halal slaughter, which is regulated by a 1996 law. There are no laws prohibiting the wearing of headscarves, and cases brought before the Equal Rights Committee have generally been decided in favor of students. However, in some cities, including Amsterdam, attending classes with a veiled face is not allowed. In 1998, the National Committee of Equal Treatment ruled on a case regarding teachers wearing headscarves, determining that the hijab did not violate the open and tolerant attitudes required by Dutch laws on public education. Only safety or functional reasons could justify a ban. In late 2005, the Parliament passed a resolution urging the government to ban the wearing of burqas. But in March 2007, the government decided not to enact the ban. In the Netherlands, known for its historical tolerance towards the LGBTQ+ community and for being the first country to legalize same-sex marriage, there is growing concern about Muslim attitudes towards homosexuality. The influx of more conservative Muslims has raised fears that this tolerance could be threatened. This issue played a role in the political landscape, including the rise of Pim Fortuyn, an openly gay anti-immigrant politician who was assassinated during a successful campaign, although not by a Muslim. Geert Wilders, the leader of the far-right Party for Freedom and winner of Dutch elections, made a significant concession to potential coalition partners by withdrawing his proposed 2018 law that aimed to ban mosques and the Quran. Among the legislation withdrawn was a bill dating back to 2018 that sought to ban Islamic expressions. This bill labeled Islam as a violent totalitarian ideology and proposed bans on mosques, the Quran, Islamic schools, and the wearing of burqas and niqabs. The niqab is a face veil worn by some Muslim women as part of their interpretation of hijab, covering the face but not the eyes. Wilders did not provide further comment on the decision to withdraw the legislation, which was announced in a brief statement by his party. None of the 3 laws proposed by Wilders in 2017, 2018, and 2019 ever gained a majority in the lower house of Parliament. The Council of State, an independent watchdog that evaluates legislation, advised Wilders to scrap the proposed ban on Islamic expressions. Allah says in the Quran, "They desire to extinguish Allah's light with their mouths, but Allah will perfect His light, though the disbelievers hate it." Surah Saf, verse 8. In this Quranic verse, Allah informs us that the enemies want to extinguish the light of Allah. But their efforts will be in vain because Allah has completed His light. Allah does not say, "We will not allow this light to be extinguished," when He foretells this intention of the enemies. He says that Allah has perfected this light by sending His messenger, so no one can extinguish a perfect light. Both logic and reason confirm the victory of Islam. That is, there will come a day when Islam will clearly show that it is victorious over all religions. Thank you for watching. We hope this video has provided you with valuable insights. Your feedback and thoughts are important to us, so please share them in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content. Your support helps us continue our work. Join our community and stay tuned for our next video. See you soon.